Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's the big one. It's the final major of 2024, the US Open from Flushing Meadow, and the action starts on Monday. I'm delighted to say joining me, as per usual, for the last couple of years is my good friend and our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert. Sean, I know we've just had a bad week at Winston-Salem. We're going to put that to one bed, but put that behind. We move on to New York, baby, and we're going to get the winner of the US Open men's singles title.
It's very bullish for this time in the morning.
You've got to be.
This is 9 o'clock. This is early. What was the question? Are we going to put Winston-Salem behind us?
Yeah, we're going to put that behind us.
Winston-Salem is I've said many times, it's you either goes really well or really badly, and I think the last couple of years it's gone really badly. But there you go. Winston-Salem. The problem with Winston-Salem is that you do get for a start. There are fewer underdog winners this year than there ever has been before. First time ever there's been no underdogs winning the quarterfinals. That's never happened in the history of Winston-Salem. And the other thing is you get these random withdrawals. Don't you? Like Jerry Shang. 5 minutes later went, I've had enough of this. I'm off. I'll see you later. Corona Buster also retired. It's a bit of a crapshoot, really, isn't it? Winston-Salem, and sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm not too worried about that. That's in the past now, and it's as you said, it's time for the US Open. This time next year, we'll be there in the sun, unlike what we've got now, which is 2 inches of rain. But looking forward to the US Open for sure.
I think you said this time next week we'll be millionaires. I was going to say thank you. That'd be nice. I'll take that as well.
I can't promise that.
It is the final major. And obviously, I spoke to Roy Giovanni yesterday. And I spoke about previous winners of this tournament. This is a tournament where you can get a big price shock. It's the end of the year. Players are playing a lot of tennis. There's doubts about the main contenders as well. On the court and off the court. We're going to come on to that.
Maybe on the women's side, the men's is I'll talk about the trends in a minute.
Well, I mean, Alcaraz obviously is not playing his best. Sinner's obviously come with a bit of a cloud over him, and obviously yesterday Novak Djokovic was reading he didn't practice in his room because he had an injury. Yeah,
those are issues, but. As I said, the trends I'll talk about in a minute. But occasionally you get a big prize finalist. It's pretty rare you get a big prize winner on the men's side. On the women's side, I think the women's side is much more open at the moment. But I mean, you have got 4 pretty strong contenders on the men's side.
Yeah, I just feel that because he's got a lot of retirements and get to the end of this year, I think people are jaded, and I think people have to come in with a player that's obviously good fitness, ready to go, long season, and obviously usually, as you say, the cream does rise to the top here. But I think on match betting you may get a shot. But I'm not convinced by this top. I'm not convinced by the top 4 here. Just something about me says I think they're worth fading. Before we look at the draw, before we go through, we're going to look at what we're going to do on the show here. We're going to go through each quarter of the draw, look through the main contenders, look at the odds with Bet Rivers on the quarters, head across to the app, make sure you look at the specials there. Loads of specials on the website. But before we do that, you said it there, the trends. What have we got to look for here? I mean, it's been dominated by the big players. Let's have a look at what the trends are.
Do you want the playing conditions first, or should we do that later?
Yeah, I mean, you can go. I think that comes in the trends with the conditions and the trends.
Okay.
Everything. I mean,
okay.
You take it away, Mr. Calvert.
Right, so it's played on a lay-cold surface with Wilson US Open extra duty balls, as confirmed to me by the US Open. And it was supposed
good research.
Yeah, it was supposedly quicker this year, but opinion is divided on the matter as usual. We had a situation last week, by the way, when Borna Coric said it was quick on one day, which suited his game, and the next day he played 2 hours later on exactly the same court, and he said it was slow, which also suited his game. So this is what we're dealing with here. These are the players. That's their opinion of stuff. It's very confusing sometimes. What we do know is they've had all the courts resurfaced, and the tournament director said they're aiming for a CPI, that's court pace index, that measures the speed of the courts. They're aiming for it to be medium fast, which in the rule book of the ITF is somewhere between 41 and 44, and that's quite quick for what we normally see on the tour. For example, Cincinnati last week, that was around about 42, 43, and that was, I think Jack Draper said it was the quickest court he's ever played on in his life. But Taylor Fritz has come out and said the court is definitely slower than Cincinnati, but also that he doesn't feel that it's too slow in general. Then Lindsay Davenport piped up and said it was quite a bit slower than Cincinnati. So, once again, conflicting information. Cincinnati's got a bit of altitude, so you would expect the ball to fly a bit more in Cincinnati, which probably makes it a bit quicker. The CPI might be the same, but with the altitude, you do get conditions. A lot of the qualies, it doesn't look particularly quick to me. I'd say it looks quicker than last year because it was slow last year. I'd say it's medium-paced hardcourt from what I've seen. Watching the qualies doesn't always give you a great feel because the players are generally a bit less powerful. I think they're only 75% holds of serve in the 111 or whatever it was qualifying matches. But that doesn't give you a great indication because a lot of them are sort of lower level players. Quite a few of them are clay quarters trying to get through. You watch the qualies playing on one court and then you watch the top 10. It looked like a totally different tournament. So it's not always great to take info from the qualifying. But it looks, I'd say, on balance, it looks like a sort of medium-paced hardcourt, hopefully a bit quicker than last year. As far as the trends are concerned, it's been won by one of the top 6 seeds each year since 2002, apart from in 2014 when Marin Cilic beat Kei Nishikori. So not too many trends, but they're all basically the top guys tend to win. You do get some occasional big price runners up, but as I said, won by one of the top seeds all years, bar one since 2002.
Yep, the top 4 dominate the market, dominate the market on the quarters as well, dominate the outright market as well. But I just got a sneaky feeling that these 4 are going to. I'm not quite sure. I'm not convinced by them. Let's start off by looking at the bets and looking at the odds. And we're breaking down the draw with the bracket with the odds as well with Bet Rivers. We'll start off with quarter 1 where you see the number 1 seed Yannick Sinner. Now, before we go on to this quarter, Yannick Sinner has obviously been cleared after his failed doping tests. Lot of interest in it over social media. The New York crowd isn't a very unforgiving crowd. He looks like he may run into a couple of American player in round 16. I mean, and he's got Mackenzie McDonald in round 1. I mean, another American here.
Probably Mickelson as well after that.
Yeah, I think he's going to have quite a hostile kind of reception here for Yannick Sinner.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know about this. It does seem like I mean, I'm extremely cynical about doping in tennis anyway. This is something I wrote about many years ago. It's not something that, for me, the tennis authorities take seriously. Their attitude has always been, it doesn't matter if you dope because it won't affect the outcome. They constantly said, for years and years and years, they constantly said, it's about skill, it's about talent, it's about ability, it's not about physicality. Clearly that's wrong, because if you've got 2 players that are both awesome and one of them's helping himself to a lot of extra assistance and the other one isn't, that's a massive advantage, isn't it? But that's what tennis has always said. That's the doping regime is poor. It's always been poor, and I wouldn't trust them to give you the information. I mean, it's just this lack of transparency and the different outcomes for different people. A lot of the players, like Tara Moores and the Camel Mike Sharks and all these people that have basically had their careers pretty much ruined by a questionable doping result. They get treated one way, and it seems anyway. And then Sinner, with all his riches, can afford the ultimate lawyer who shuts down a case, gets an appeal not only heard but sorted so quickly, and nothing's mentioned and all the rest of it. It just feels to the average man on the street that there's a sort of double standards going on. As far as his test results concerned, it was a billionth of a gram, wasn't it, or something? Yeah. It does feel like it was probably some kind of an error. He's since sacked that team, hasn't he? The coaching guy, the fitness guy, and the physio. I think they've both been fired. I think yesterday. So it does feel like an error because if you look at Yannick Sinner and you look at those pipe cleaners that he calls legs, he does not look to me. If I was doping and I was Yannick Sinner and I looked like that, I'd want my money back on some of the stuff that I'd had. It just doesn't. He doesn't look like a guy who's bulging muscles. He looks a guy like one of the sickly kids at school, doesn't he? He's always coughing, and he's always injured or ill or whatever. So it seems like something that it does feel like they are probably telling the truth on this one. But I don't know. I don't think the crowd are going to be that against him, are they?
I'm not so sure. I think on social media they've been very, very critical of him, and
I think it'll affect him.
Split.
Don't get me wrong. I think it'll definitely affect him. I'm just not sure the crowd will. I mean, this is not the French Open. This is the French Open, and he was playing against Monfils or whoever. They'd be on him from the first ball, 100%. I don't know about this New York crowd. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I just think the fact that he could run into 3 Americans in the first 3 matches won't help him here. And I think
probably won't.
That would be the problem. I mean, he should be comfortably beat 2 of them, but I'm not so sure. I think it was Wimbledon. They're very, very polite, but I think New York crowd night match against the American. I think he's going to.
Oh, a night match, yeah.
Yeah,
he's going
to get some. They're probably they're scheduling. I'm sure they're scheduling. If he played Mickelson, I'm sure that'll be a night match. But I think he's going to get it. And let's have a look at the odds here. I mean, there hasn't really been many movement on it considering what's happened.
I think Sinner's moved out a bit, hasn't he? So it wasn't
not really on the outright market.
On the outright,
on the quarter market, not really much. The general consensus, he's still going to get through to the semi-finals, and he's going to probably run into Alcaraz and get beat. That's what the market suggests here.
Well, there's another issue as well, isn't there? Sorry, mate. There's another issue. It's not just the drug thing, is it? It's that's kind of an incidental thing that's added to everything else. But the fitness is the main worry, isn't it? This hip problem that he's had, which he said is different from the other hip problem that he had. I would say that is more of a worry if you're backing Sinner than the doping thing, because he looked in pain in Cincinnati a lot of the time, didn't he? He managed to get through it, but that's what would worry me more than anything else. And he's coming in here as obviously number 1 seed for, I think, the first time, isn't he, in a major? Yep. I think. So all those things added up together, that was what would worry me more about Sinner. Sorry, mate, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. That's fine. No, yeah, I think that's a very important point. And yeah, obviously the injury concern for Sinner as well. Let's have a look at some odds here for Q1. He's still a heavy favourite at Bet Rivers, -143. Daniel Medvedev is +250. Tommy Paul is $11. Stefanos Tsitsipas 11. Felix Auger-Aliassime is 16. Arthur Fish 28. Mickelson, as I said, he could run into the Sinner in round 2. He's 40. He's into the final. Winston-Salem and Flavio Caboli, the Italian, who's had a good year, but probably not his surface here, is 50-1. I've just everything about this. I've got to fade Sinner at -143.
Yeah. -143. It's short. It's just about the fitness. As I said, I don't think it's going to be a pretty warm week. I didn't mention that actually, but I think it's going to be between 27 and 33 degrees Wednesday. I'm not sure which day these guys are going to be playing, but Wednesday it's going to be 33. And it's hot. It's kind of sticky and quite humid as well, isn't it? In Queens this time of year, and that would worry me more than anything else about Sinner. His chances here. The hip, dodgy. He's always been questionable to me in terms of his longevity in tournaments where he's had to play a really tough 5-set match. That would be a concern. I've got a bet here in Q1, and do you want me to talk about that now? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm taking Tommy Paul here. He's not had the greatest of swings so far, to say the least. He's had a poor hard court swing so far, but that doesn't really worry me. Ben Shelton came here last year after a very poor time of it on the hard courts, ended up making the semi-final. So, Paul will be highly motivated. He's played some really, really good tennis this year. If we look at the statistics, I've taken most of the favourites, their stats for this season only on outdoor hard at main level. You do have Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz both on the same service points won and return points won total of 113, which obviously goes to show why they're 2 of the most favoured guys to win this tournament. Then it's Djokovic a little way back from that on 108. Then you got Zverev on 106, Medvedev on 104, and Tommy Paul also on 104. So Medvedev, I think, is about 16-1, 14-1 to win this tournament, isn't he? Paul's 100-1. He's got the same stats that Medvedev has.
Well, he's 250 to win this quarter, Medvedev. Tommy Paul 11.
Yeah, exactly. So that on those bare stats, that doesn't make any sense. What I've also done, which is important, I think, is matches played against the current top 10 this season. Again, it's Sinner ahead, 71% win rate, and a service points won and return points won total of 106. So on the statistics, Sinner should be favourite for the tournament. But as I said, there's a lot of other issues going around with him as well. Alcaraz, 64% win rate and a total of 102. Djokovic, just a 33% win rate and a total of 96, which is off-putting for Novak Djokovic backers or fans. Zverev, 42% win rate and a total of 101. Medvedev, 50% win rate but a 95 total. And Tommy Paul, 50% win rate and 100 total. So against matches against the current top 10, Tommy Paul's winning half of them, and he's more than holding his own, a 100 total in the service points won and return points won totals. We know he's going to be highly motivated. He's going to be really disappointed with his North American hardcourt swing, but he did have a bit of an ankle issue. So that may be a bit of an excuse for him there, but highly motivated here, obviously playing at home. Had a decent chance last year. He got a nice section of the draw, and I was at that match when he played Ben Shelton. He just a sort of a no-show performance from Tommy Paul, really. He should really have been the one to go on to make the quarter semis last year. Given how well he's played over the last 12 months, I think he's preferred for me against Medvedev, whose stats are very, very underwhelming. And Tommy Paul does have that all-court game if he does play Medvedev. I'm not sure whether that draw would pan out that way. It could do. If he beats Sinner, then you'd probably have to play Medvedev. So he's certainly got the game to beat Medvedev. So I think he's the value here. I cannot see Tsitsipas figuring, really. He's got a poor record here anyway, Tsitsipas, and he's all at sea at the moment on hard courts. Felix will probably win because I've backed him the last 2 weeks. So and now I'm going to abandon him, so he'll probably do it just on the way that things go in betting. But it's hard to see any of the others listed here winning this quarter. They might cause a surprise, maybe Mickelson he's on a roll at the moment. Maybe he'll knock off Sinner. I don't know. But Tommy Paul looks the one for me in Q1 at 11-1, yeah.
He does open up against Lorenzo Sonego, who's playing
That
Mickelson
is
in the
tricky.
final of Winston
That is
Salem.
tricky.
Tricky little match.
That is
but
tricky.
You want a long match tonight, didn't you? You want Salem's go 7-6, 6-7, 7-6. That'll be perfect for Paul Bettis.
Over 5 sets, Tommy Paul should be too solid for Sonego, really. Be disappointing if he isn't, but you have to beat who's there, and unfortunately it's Sonego. But there could be a lot worse round one matches. Sonego might well be a little bit, as you say, a little bit fatigued, but Tommy Paul looks the one certainly in Q1 that could take advantage of any sort of physical or any other mishaps that Sinner might have. I mean, Sinner's stats are great. If you're looking at the pure stats, forgetting everything else, Sinner should be the favourite for this tournament. But with everything that's going on with his fitness and off-court issues, then there are question marks, as you said.
Yeah, -143 for Sinner. If you want to take that, it's a swerve for us. Tommy Paul is our recommendation to win Q1 at 11-1. And if you want to head across to Bet Rivers, they're offering a special that might be of interest for this bet. Show your support of Game Bet Match by making a bet with our promo code this month. Use the promo code Game Bet Match with Bet Rivers in the US. You will get a 50% profit boost on any tennis bet of 2-1 odds or longer. So plus 200 or longer, 50% profit boost. This offer is good through to August 25th, so you've only got until Sunday for eligible players. A max bet of $25 and a max win of $250. If you're a fan of the podcast, please show your support and use this great special. So that might be of interest for anybody who is looking for the bet there and the offers. And head across the BetRivers website and the app throughout the tournament. There'll be a whole host of new offers coming, which we'll mention throughout the next fortnight over at Flushing Meadow. Let's move on to Q2. Carlos Alcaraz, the Wimbledon and the French Open champion, is a very, very heavy favourite here. He's -275 to come through this quarter, which doesn't really look that difficult for the two-time. The two-time this year. He's the four-time the major champion. Hurkacz is his closest rival at $10. Alex de Minaur, $12. Korda, who could be anything, $14. Jack Draper, who beat him at Queen's Club. They could run into each other. He's 16-1. Karen Khachanov, 20. Denis Shapovalov, 28. And Roman Safin, 33-1. Very weak quarter, this one. And really, if you're probably looking for a minus money favourite, if you want to play that, if that kind of thing floats your boat, I know it's not for me or you, Sean, it's very hard to see Alcaraz slipping up on that Q2.
Statistically, yeah. I've just gone through the stats. He does have him and Sinner have the best record. Sinner edges it for me in terms of his record against the top 10. But, I mean, Alcaraz will obviously need to improve from that shocking performance that he put in Cincinnati. If you're looking for reasons to oppose him, you could. There's a theory that says, he's played an awful lot of tennis. Alcaraz won the French Open, loads of epic matches, several epic matches at Wimbledon, got all the way to the final at the Olympics, and he had that disappointment of losing in the final to Djokovic. And he came to Cincinnati and he was dreadful. He got beat by a sort of 60% Gael Monfils. It was, I don't know whether you saw the match, but it was certainly the worst I've ever seen Alcaraz play. I mean, he was that bad. He ended up smashing his racket, didn't he? Which I don't think I've ever. I don't think I'm not sure I've seen him do that before. I don't think I have.
He said in the press conference it was the worst he's ever played in his career. Which
okay. Well,
it was awful.
Yeah, that makes sense then, because that's what I saw. I'm glad that he saw it as well. It was dreadful. It's not like Monfils was playing, rolling back the years and playing brilliant stuff. He wasn't really. It was terrible from Alcaraz. But if you're looking at it, a reason to oppose him, take him on at -275. You could say he played all that tennis. He's just leggy now. It's a lot winning a French, winning a Wimbledon, almost winning the Olympics. If he's, he wasn't at his best here last year either, was he? So you could say Alcaraz could potentially be worth taking on it. The question is, who are you going to do it with? Hurkacz is injured.
Difficult.
Hurkacz doesn't look like he can last 2 weeks or even a week, probably on the basis of what we've seen. He was all right in Montreal, but I think once he played like that, he had to play a couple of back-to-back matches. Then he was dreadful in Cincinnati against Nishioka. How he won that match against Nishioka, I don't know. And then ended up getting...
I bet Nishioka, that's how he won it.
Well, because Nishioka, as I mentioned on the show, terrible record against big service, gets really frustrated. He ended up obliterating a few rackets as well, didn't he? Doesn't like big servers at all, Nishioka, and that let him down there. But Hurkacz, I don't think he's fit. He didn't look fit at all. De Minaur's coming back from not having played, since Wimbledon. I think he might have played in that UTS thing the other day. Did he play in that? I think he played in that, didn't he? The UTS knockabout they had a few days ago. Kyrgios played and a few others, Monfils and whatever. But either way, he's not set foot on a official match court since limping off at Wimbledon. So it's hard to back him with any confidence. Korda is possible. He's got a dreadful record at the US Open, though. I'll talk about that in the next show that we're going to do. He's a possibility, but he could lose in the first round. That's Korda. Could easily lose in the first round, or he could end up winning this quarter. Draper's a possibility, but the heat and the humidity puts me off. If it's going to be 33 degrees and humid, he went pretty well here last year, Draper, but not convinced about him in his form at the moment, and I'm certainly not convinced about him physically. Khachanov's in absolutely shocking form. Shapovalov, he can't keep it together for more than a match or two. Safiulin's interesting, plus 3,300. That's possible. You never know with Safiulin. He's got the ability. If the courts are playing quick, he's a quarter-finalist at a major before. He made the quarterfinals of Wimbledon last year. Would just won the Carey Challenger, so he's a possibility. But yeah, if you are taking Alcaraz on, you're kind of hoping that he's leggy. I think that's the gist of it. Hoping that he's played too much tennis and now he's kind of winding down for the year, which is what he did this time last year. He wasn't at his best here either this time last year. So that's the crumb of comfort if you are going to take him on, I think. But I'm not sold on any of these enough to back them. I
think that's exactly right. I think exactly right what you say there. I mean, you look at the price of -275 and think, well, I can't have Alcaraz at -275, but finding someone else to get through is virtually an impossible task. So if you want to put Carlos Alcaraz in maybe in a parlay, or you want to play the big money, he's -275. The only plus money favourite in the quarters is in Q3, where we find the number 4 seed Alexander Zverev. He's +125 here. Big servers in this one. Taylor Fritz is +550. Big hitters. Matteo Berrettini is $9, and I think Fritz will play Berrettini in round 2 if they both get through their matches. Yes, they will. That'll be a epic battle in round 2. Holger Rune is $9. Lorenzo Musetti 12. Casper Ruud obviously done well at the US Open before. He's 14. Humbert 25, and Alexander Bublik at 33. Berrettini is one that interests me here. Zverev +125. I can't have Fritz at +550, but I do think Berrettini offers some kind of interest for me. But whether he can keep his fitness levels throughout the fortnight, that's the big question.
Yeah, there's a few that are under fitness clouds here. Berrettini is certainly one. In the last 2 or 3, 4 years, he's not been able to stay fit for long enough, really. That would certainly worry me. Holger Rune would worry me in terms of his suitability to these conditions. Hot and humid has been a problem for him many, many times. I think he's had injury issues recently as well. Not in the greatest form. He played well in Cincinnati, didn't he? That's the plus point. If you're taking it on form, then he's got a chance. But he's got no sort of record at the US Open. Lost to Kabash Baena, I think, here last year in the first round, if memory serves me correctly. He, like Draper, he would worry me in terms of the conditions on a 33-degree day. That would definitely worry me. Taylor Fritz, I just don't think he's got that. As I've said many times, he just doesn't have that extra layer to his game. He's very, very solid. He tends to beat who he should beat. But when he comes up against someone top class, I know he beat Zverev at Wimbledon, but that was because Zverev was basically playing on one leg. I'm not sure he's going to be doing that again if those two meet. Musetti's interesting. He's on coming here in the form of his life, really. He'll be confident. I don't think he's shown at Wimbledon that he can play on quick surfaces. He'd probably be the one for me if I was going for a double-figure price at 12-1. Casper Ruud's, I think he was playing in that UTS as well, but he's been not well physically. I mean, he was really awful in Cincinnati against Felix. They're terrible, miles away from anything like the sort of form that he would need to win this quarter. Quick conditions being quicker than they were in previous years here wouldn't really help him either. He's not someone that I would particularly fancy. Then you're into Humbert and Bublik, who anything could happen with those two. I mean, Bublik's not even favourite to win his first round match against Shang. So
he could be someone who could be in this quarter. Shang,
I don't think he's got a good record here either. Again, I don't think he's been fit since Wimbledon. I think he picked not Wimbledon, but I think it was Halle he got injured in. Injured there. He hasn't looked fit since. His performance in, I think it was Cincinnati against Shelton, he just looked like he was there because he had to be. I can't see Bublik doing anything on Humbert. Maybe. But he's got a shocking record here as well, Hugo Humbert. I think he's something like 2-6 win-loss here. So it's Zverev for me in this. Plus money, plus 125. I mean, I wouldn't bet it, but not in the quarter anyway. But I think he'll win this quarter. Unless Berrettini is able to roll back the years, find his best form and stay fit in all those things, then he could be a danger. But I think Zverev should be winning that.
Yeah, I think the Fritz price is the low price here. Obviously, the Bet Rivers are obviously going to get a lot of money from the American players, and I think the Fritz price here offers value in the draw. Final quarter, Novak Djokovic heads to the betting in quarter 4. Minus 225, Rublev 550, $11 for Shelton, 14 Dimitrov, 16 TFO, Popperin 20, John Leonard Schriff, big price 28-1. He's been a popular pick for us this campaign. Lehecka 33-1. Djokovic has obviously set his target. He's won the Olympics. Obviously, he wants to win more majors, but his main target this year was the Olympics. He hasn't won a major yet this year, but there is some injury concern for him. I mean, he didn't turn up for a practice session. There were rumours that he was injured yesterday against Holger Rune. He didn't play. Yeah. It didn't turn up. That would be a big, big worry if I was taking the 225 here. I think Djokovic is a fade for me in the whole tournament. I honestly do.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem that way, doesn't it? The level that he played at the Olympics compared to the level he's played for the rest of this year and parts of last year, it was like chalk and cheese, wasn't it? That level he found against Alcaraz to win that Olympics, I haven't seen that from Djokovic in a long time. That was probably... definitely one of the top 5 performances of his career for me, and to do it at the age of 37 with a questionable knee, against someone like Alcaraz at Roland Garros. I would argue that's probably the performance of his career, but there again, I might be a bit of recency bias there. I'd have to go back the last 20 years of his career and think about it, but the performance of the year, that was obviously what he wanted to win. Everybody knew that was the one that he wanted to kind of cap his career, the Golden Slam winner, to go with Nadal. What's he got left now? I mean, his performances in the other slams, the Australian was mediocre. He got injured at the French. Wimbledon, he was all right until he got to the final, and he got absolutely crushed by Alcaraz in the final. Was able to lift himself for the Olympics. Is he going to be able to lift himself again so soon after for the US Open? I'm not so sure. Now we're talking about injuries. This practice session that was cut short yesterday. He's 37. He's going to be getting these injuries. It makes it a difficult bet at minus 225 to win the quarter. There's some interesting ones here. Rublev, we never know, do we? What's going on with Rublev? He's talked about his mental health struggles. Some days he's all right. Other days, we see him melting down and smashing the rackets. And he's yet to go past that sort of quarterfinal stage at majors. He does still have that, that sort of lack of real self-belief that he can win one. It's not a bad quarter for him. Looking at the draw, it's a decent draw. Shelton, what's he going to bring to the court this year? He's actually had a better build up this year than he did last year, and he ended up making semis last year. It's about the energy with him. I think with Shelton and Tiafoe, we could sort of put them in the same bracket. Shelton and Tiafoe, they both have to bring the energy to win matches, and it's very, very difficult to keep bringing the energy day in, day out, week in, week out over like 40 odd week season. So with those two, Tiafoe and Shelton, if they're fired up, which they probably will be, Tiafoe's done very well in the last couple of years. Shelton did great last year. They could be dangers as well. Dimitrov looks out of form or out of fitness at the moment. Certainly out of form. Whether he's not been fit since that injury that he had at Wimbledon, another one that was injured at Wimbledon, adductor I think it was. He's struggled since then. Popyrin's now coming in. We're now in a situation where Popyrin, we're talking about being a 5th or 6th favourite to win a quarter in a major after he amazingly won Montreal. He's going to come here with renewed belief, and he played Djokovic very, very tough at the Australian Open at the start of this year. Now he's got that extra belief. He could be a tough one for Novak Djokovic as well. I think Lehecka's got a reasonable chance as well if he can stay fit. He's another one that's been injured, but he's looked good since he's come back. He's interesting at 33-1. He's in the quarter, I think, with where is he? Goes up to the top. Rublev, isn't it? Rublev. Yeah, he can beat Rublev. He definitely can beat Rublev on his day. I think that's probably the interesting one. 33 is about Lehecka. Slightly worried about his fitness because he has only just come back from a quite a bad, I think it was a back injury that he had in recent times. But if he's fit, he's probably the one that I would probably take on there. Yeah, I mean, it's not my sort of bet back in Djokovic at minus, or anybody at minus money to win a quarter. A 37-year-old who's just achieved the crowning glory of his career. Not for me. I'd probably take a little bit of a sprinkle on Lehecka if I was betting in this quarter.
I think Djokovic is a big fade in Q4. I think Djokovic is a big fade in the tournament. I want to take him on.
We have said this before, haven't we?
Yeah, I know, but I'm I think the Olympics is it. I think he's done what he wants to do, and he's easing up now. I know people will be critical of me, but I just think that the price minus 225. I'm not buying into minus 225.
Yeah, I couldn't back it at that.
I think the interesting match will be Shelton Tiafoe in round 3. Hopefully, I think we might actually be there. I hope that's a night match on Ash. I think that'll be an absolutely incredible match. Shelton and Tiafoe. Remember, myself and Sean are going to be in New York I'm in there Thursday. Sean will be arriving in town on Saturday, I think. Is it, or Friday, Sean? Are you on Friday?
No, I don't get until sort of evening time on Saturday. Maybe follow our adventures on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Because We Win. So make sure you click the content there. We'll be doing podcasts from New York. We'll also be doing some at venue picks as well, and in-play picks. We'll be there together for a few days over Labor Day weekend. Let's move on to the outright market. This is where it's all about. This is where we find the winner of the tournament. We've broken down the brackets. We've looked at the best bets in each quarter, and now we're going to tell you who the value is in to win the 2024 US Open Championship men's singles. The one thing you've got to say about this draw, as we've seen from the bracket, I would say that the bet that you've got to be in the bottom half of each way value. The each way value in the bottom half seems to be stronger for me than the top half. The top half is loaded with Sinner, Alcaraz, Medvedev, big players as well. Bottom half, we're talking about Djokovic being, not fit. I think the value lies in the bottom half. Let's have a look at the outright market. Alcaraz is plus 190, marginal favourite now ahead of Novak Djokovic, who's plus 210. Sinner on the drift after the last week or so, plus 350 for there. Alexander Zverev, who finds himself in that bottom half of the draw, the nearly man at the US Open, he's $8. Medvedev is in the top half, 16. Fritz is 40. And we go into the big prices. Fritz 40, Rublev 40, Holger Rune 50, Francis Tiafoe 75, Berrettini 80, Musetti 80, Ben Shelton 80, Alex de Minaur on his comeback 90, and then we've got 100-1 Felix Auger-Aliassime, Gregor Dimitrov and Hubert Hurkacz. You can pretty much rule out a lot of these players, and it really only leaves you a small handful of players I think who can potentially win it. I've got a feeling you're going to go for the guy I like. I've got a feeling, because I don't think you'll go for one of the top 3. And well, interested to hear what you say before I tell you who I like. I think we have to take Zverev again.
Exactly. That is the man who I like.
Which is what we did last year here. A much bigger price, by the way. He was about 40-1 last year, wasn't he? I think. Certainly.
Like that,
yeah, he was pretty big last year. He ended up playing a ridiculously late 5-setter against Sinner, didn't he? He won a 5-setter against Sinner. It finished about 2:00 in the morning or something like that, and that was him done for the tournament. which is not really what you want. But I can't see anyone outside of this top four winning it unless something really weird happens, which doesn't tend to happen in men's major tennis tournaments these days. I've talked about the stats before. I mean, he's the obvious choice. Alcaraz, Sinner is the obvious choice based on stats, but there's more to it than that, isn't there? We've talked about that at length already. Djokovic, we're not keen on because he's achieved what he wanted to achieve this season. He's 37. His body. What's that going to let him do? I don't know. If you take Djokovic out of that bottom half of the draw, there isn't much to really worry Alexander Zverev, really. I mean, if you take Djokovic out, let's just say he's not able to compete at his best or for whatever reason. Who is likely to beat Zverev in this bottom half? I mean, you tell me, because I'm not sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the each way value in the bottom half, I think Zverev at 4-1 to make the final is a cracking bet.
I mean, Rusev is not particularly easy first round match, but he's not been fit for a long time now. He played, I don't think he's played since Washington's Rusev. It might be a tricky match. That's not an easy first round match for Zverev, but you go in past that, you go into the likes of Adam Walton, Alexandra Muller, Francisco Cerundolo, who was dreadful at Winston-Salem a couple of days ago, and Pecci Pericardi, could be tricky with his serve, but over the best of five, you wouldn't have thought so. Then you're into Holger Rune. I don't see that happening. It's a good draw, isn't it? Taylor Fritz, could be difficult, potentially, but it's not worrying. It's not going to keep me up at night, worrying about Zverev beating Taylor Fritz. And then if
he's got
Djokovic,
a very difficult route to get there as well. He could be, but that Berrettini game, that could be a 5-set going all night. He could be absolutely shattered in the heat.
Yeah,
his physicality is could be all over the place, Fritz, by the time he meets Zverev, if he does.
Possibly, but I wouldn't be worried about Fritz even if he came in there fresh as a daisy. To be honest, he just doesn't have that extra layer to his game. He still hasn't been able to add it, or is unwilling to add it for whatever reason. Rude, not really. I'm just not seeing, unless someone has an unbelievable week, just like a Berrettini, who maybe finds his absolute peak form and keeps that form for the entire 2 weeks, which doesn't seem that likely, then he would maybe, but backhand to backhand rallies, Zverev against Berrettini, I know who I'd be on all day long, and it wouldn't be Berrettini. So Djokovic is the concern, isn't it? And if we're saying that we don't fancy him because of his age and the injuries and the fact that he's achieved what he's achieved already, it's got to be Zverev for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Zverev is a great bet each way. Bet Rivers are one of the only sports books and across America to offer each way betting, which means you get half of your money on to place to make the final. So Zverev will be 4-1 to make the final. If you bet him each way, $10, $5 would be on Zverev to win it at 8-1. The other $5 would be him to make the final at 4-1.
And he's it's probably harsh to say it's now or never for him, but he's 27 now, 27ish. Zverev, he's made a couple of finals. Should probably have won that. Well, certainly should have won the first one against Dominic Thiem at the US Open. Definitely should have won that. There's certainly a fairly strong argument to say he should have won the one against Alcaraz at the French Open. I think that was just the mental letdown side, which is the thing that's always kept him back for me. That in the really huge matches, sometimes he's gone away a little bit too easily. But I think he's got to realise now at his age he's not going to get that many more chances against this new crop of players that are coming up. So he's had the experience now of losing in a couple of finals. He had another tough loss against Sinner in Cincinnati. He should have won that match as well. He's got to step up to the plate now mentally, and he's got to be looking at winning a major very, very soon, I would say.
I've bet Zverev. I actually bet Zverev yesterday. I've already bet Berrettini weeks ago as well when he was on the come-up trail. I tweeted about it. I think they even mentioned on this show. And people said to me, "Oh, you're mad," and various different things. But I've got a nice price on Berrettini. But I also
he's a danger. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
It's
the fitness that would worry me with him, not rather than ability.
I just think that he's a player who's got to a major final, and the odds in what is a very, very sort of poor bottom half with question marks over Djokovic to me are a little bit of value. But the other player I've actually bet as well, and I think at 80-1 he's worth a little bit of pizza money. I think Ben Shelton's got a chance here to go deep.
If he brings it,
like him.
If he brings it, that's his stage, isn't it? He showed it last year. Beating TFO and beating Tommy Paul, and getting to the semis, and obviously wasn't going to be good enough to beat Novak Djokovic on the day. It's a tough ask for him in a night match when it's kind of slow to beat someone like Novak Djokovic in a major semi-final. But yeah, as I said, it's about the energy with him, and he brings something that nobody else really has. He is that kind of the street kid, the hustler, the kid that will just bang down 150-mile-an-hour serves, thrill the crowds, get the energy going. If he's got all that going on, then he's a threat. It's when he's flat that he doesn't look that great, to be perfectly honest. But when he's bringing the energy in a tournament like this, he can ride the momentum. It's certainly a possibility.
If he hasn't got the energy in New York, he's never going to get the energy. Hopefully,
Exactly.
I've got it. Right, so the week we've got planned. Hopefully, I've got some energy because I'll be running on empty by the time by Monday. Shelton obviously starts Shelton obviously starts this campaign against Dominic Thiem, which is probably one of the most interesting first round matches, and then he plays TFO in round 3. And I'm surprised that TFO's a shorter price than Shelton, because Shelton beat him in the quarterfinals last year and he's got a winning head-to-head record. But anyway, that's a small lean for me. Our official pick on the show is Alexander Zverev. Each way, I'm guessing, Sean, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he should be making the final. If he does make the final, I would fancy him to win it. But obviously it depends who he's playing. But based on the experience that he now has of losing those Grand Slam finals, I think this is his time to step up. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. But the each way money, I think it's hard to see somebody else other than Djokovic beating him in that bottom half of the draw.
Yep, 8-1. Also in Q1, we've got Tommy Paul, 11-1. There are 2 official picks on the tournament winner here. On the men's singles at the US Open, which starts on Monday, head across to Bet Rivers, to the app, to the website, a whole host of markets, loads of specials coming your way, offers galore throughout the fortnight, more markets on tennis than any other sportsbook across America. And obviously stay tuned to all the content here on Betting Weekly Studios. Make sure you subscribe, ring that bell if you like, give us a comment. Lots of content coming your way on the tennis over the next fortnight, as well as the soccer. European leagues are kicking off. We also have the Premier League as well. Lots of new subscribers, so thank you very much. Welcome along. If you're new here, it's the first time you've watched the show, give us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on who you think will win the tournament. There is also a show on the women's outright on Betting Weekly WTA with myself and Rory Giovanni, where he's broken down the draw, exactly the same as we've just done there. If you haven't watched that, make sure you watch that as well. You can download both podcasts on your preferred podcast provider. And also, as I said, follow us on our socials. Because We Win. Myself and Sean will be out in New York next week, and we'll be looking all the action. You can follow us there on our Twitter account and our Instagram account. We have another show coming your way, which will be live on Sunday. Sean and I will be looking at all the best bets on round 1 in the men's singles. So everything tennis related for the next 2 weeks, we have you covered here on the Betting Weekly Studios. Sean, great show. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy your Saturday. The weather is absolutely diabolical. I know you got some sport. You got some out football or something today?
Well, going through all these round 1 matches. That's one of the things I'm doing. Probably will watch a bit of football. Might go and play a bit of paddle with Lagan later on if we get the time. But yeah, mainly it's eyes down looking at tennis.
Paddle is the word in this rain. You'll be using in the lake rather than on the tennis court.
It's undercover,
Sean,
don't worry.
Thanks very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Good luck with your bets. And we're back again on Sunday looking at the best bets in round 1 in the men's singles at the US Open. It starts, baby, Monday.